Thank you, Douglas, for really starting us off on that point and pointing out that what we are seeing is the smoke or the small tip of the iceberg. There's a lot going on underneath of the iceberg. And pack that for us a little bit more. Tell us, what is this thing that's beneath the iceberg?
The four things that this stranger is going through. The four things I think I mentioned were to do with visibility, affirmation, love, acceptance, and those are the key things that this young person is really, I can say, yearning for. Yeah, they're looking forward. Really, like, this is the emptiness in me that I need to be filled up. And if it's not being filled up by the people I really trust, then it becomes hard. And then what happens is this disappointment that I'm mentioning, the biggest iceberg under the water, which I'm mentioning is the disappointment that carries the four things is not really met in school. These are the things that are not supposed to be met in school. They're not supposed to be really driven or maybe given in school. These are the things that the school only enhances or perfects them, but they're supposed to be given in school. And that's now it goes back to this disappointment. They also go down to family life. So family is the biggest challenge. So everything is happening around is a disappointment from these young people that goes down back to how we are doing family. So family becomes the leaders of the main initiators of the issue of single. It's because of values are built at home. Values are given at home. And if this is not given at home, then you can't expect them in school. So there's one thing that we need to understand, that the foundation of every society begins in family. At the same time, if this foundation is not well done, then even the destruction of every society or country or nation is how families are done. So if there's no visibility at home, if us as parents, we are not giving them audience. Audience means you don't just give them our presence, but you give them our full attention. Are we able to have some time to communicate with them? Are we able to have some time just to have a conversation with them? Not only just terms and foundations, but do we have a moment as a family that we sit down with children or our teenagers just to have a conversation? Because we only build trust out of conversation. And when the moment you're having a conversation with them, then we build friendship. And in that friendship, you're also able to build values that now hold us as friends. I'll repeat again. In having conversations with our teenagers at home as parents or as guardian creates a space of trust. And then once that trust has been built, then friendship is generated. Then out of friendship, then we're able to build or create or come up with the values that will hold us as friends in terms of now that relationship. And that's why we don't have values, because there's no that procedure or that close-knit relationship at home that now culminate to as me as dad and you as my son and my daughters. This is who we are. We are friends. We trust one another. Then you can build a foundation that creates values that govern me and you, and then values will govern our friendship. So once this is done in a family level, then I come out of that family knowing that me and my dad and my siblings have a value system that we already submit to that govern a relationship. When I go out in the school, I'll be able to understand who I am. So I'll be able to carry the same values to school, and that will help me to be able to do it, even to guard against the other thing that comes around me. So family become the first place that we're missing out, because school can never do that. So that's the first thing. So if you don't create a space of visibility, and I can tell you, even if in your house, I know mostly in the kitchen, it's an item you have in your kitchen that you don't use, but it is always there. You see it, you wipe it every day, you keep it probably in good position, but you've never used it for the longest time. That is how family has become nowadays. We used to have something during our days that is called Christ, the head of this home, and sin gets in every conversation, all those things. And that used to be like a uniting factor. So if anyone gets that place, but Christ is the head of this family. We have replaced those things with a lot of things in our homes. Nowadays, we really value having probably portraits of probably musicians or having our Wi-Fi on. It is not bad, but the limitation. So digging deep into the iceberg is a disappointment that comes from home, because home is the first place that the values are built. Like I mentioned, we only build values out of communication. We don't create. The challenge that we have, Esther, is we are living in a nation of parents who will tell you, do not do this, do not do this. So we have set legalism. And that legalism creates what we call rebelliousness, because you only create boundaries out of relationships. You don't create boundaries because you want to put someone away from something. Because when you say don't do this, if you look at the scripture, the Bible tells us about how God gives us instructions and then give us direction. So that is not working in our families. We are giving instructions, not directions. So family becomes where now this, hiyo ndio sasa hiyo kuna kwambia the iceberg. What lies below the disagreement is the iceberg, which is the family values. So you're not creating family values as a family, you're not creating a relationship as a family. And I said, we first of all create communication, and then we build trust. Then from trust, we build what we call relationship or friendship. And then from there, we create values that now we'll be able to hold that friendship. Number two, I'm afraid to say that we are raising our children, parents from home, with a lot of fear. We have fear of losing them because of being so strict and not knowing at the same time we will be very, very gentle with them and lose them because of not instilling the right values. The Bible said that foolishness is hidden in the heart of a young man, but only the rod gets it out. So we don't talk to them. Then we want to give them instructions, and then we are afraid that we are pushing them too hard. That is why home is become the first thing that becomes the biggest iceberg. I'm not talking about religion, because home also is a place whereby we create Christian values. Home is a place we create family values. Home is where we create also we call personal values. So the iceberg is the family. We do it well in family, we'll be able to do it well in the churches, because I cannot raise up a hooligan at home and then expect the pastor to make it right for me in church. So everything goes back to family. Family values must be restored back. Family structure must be restored back. Union of family must be restored back. If that is not done, even the church cannot do it, school will not do it, and you know what? Even the laws and the courts and the legal institution in Kenya will not do it. Correction begins at home. The Bible says, parents, train up your child in the ways of the Lord, nothing else. So training begins at home, nurturing begins at home, teaching begins at home. Once that is done, the iceberg itakuwa imemalizika. So let's go back to the iceberg. Parents, let's go back to the iceberg. Deal with the what lies behind the scene. We'll have a good society in the community.
Thank you, Douglas, for expounding on that and helping us appreciate what is really the underlying problems that are causing what we are seeing out here in the open. Yet what lies beneath is the biggest driver of what we are seeing. So tell us, from your conversations with students, when they're doing all these things, what are they trying to tell us through their actions that they may not know how to express in words?
Yeah, so what happens, you see, whatever is happening outside there, what has been happening in the last few days in the street, mentioning the iceberg part of it, when this happens, there's no vacuum that is left. These kids can never live in the vacuum because there's no acceptance, because there's no affirmation, because there's no love, because there's no what you call visibility. When this happens, these young people have a way of getting their life moving. And that's what will happen. If they don't get visibility from home, what happens? They get it elsewhere. They go on social media, and that's where you'll find them on social media, not doing anything else, but just looking for someone to say them, I love your dress. But they're going to post something. If they've been posting on something that is very okay, they'll be able to post something that's not okay because they want someone to affirm what you've not been able to affirm. So go look for attention elsewhere, and that attention, if they don't get it through them expressing themselves on social media, they look for attention. Like I said, there's this student who used to make mistakes because they don't get their parents talking to them. So they'll do something very wrong to allow them to be called to school, the parents, so that when the parents come to school, then they can have a conversation. Then from there, they can be able to do it, to engage with the parents. So what happens is this, and maybe let me just show you something that happens, maybe from what I've been able to learn. When they don't get these things at home, our teenagers will be able to do what? To create their basic belief, just their own basic belief systems. So what they'll do is they'll find a way of satisfying that need. Like I said, either they go to the streets or they become just rude in class or they become just not probably communicating at home. You can see this at home when your daughter is not talking to you or you've turned away your ears from them and you're busy doing something. The next minute, you'll find them having their phone and their earphones on. And they're just sitting at the corner and we'll go back to them, ask them, what did you say? They'll say, I'm just okay. They didn't hear that word from you. They want to get from you. They want do it to get it from the world. So they create their own belief system. They'll find a way of satisfying that void in them and they can do whatever to earn what they're lacking at home. And that one is what they lose. So what they do is they'll look for, how can I do this? How can I make myself to be received or accepted? And then what they do is they look for a way outside. And that's the way in most cases, you'll find what you call, they either become rebellious, either disobey authority, so much available to you because they want to earn that significance. They want to earn that love from you. So either they become rebellious, that's the first thing they do. when that frustration now boils out and that void is still there, one, they become rebellious. And you can see that happening. I've seen of a story of a young girl who told me that I would make sure that my parents come to school every term because I don't see that, I don't get that connection at home. So I want them to come to school, not to get a visibility kiasi. So they become rebellious to the authority. Also, they become very good kids. And that means they're looking for significance or they're looking for some love. Or some of them, they just become defiant. And that becomes, they become so intimidating, or they have a lot of anger and frustration. Any one thing you tell them, they just, so you can see anger in them, you can see some frustration in them, you can see some intimidation in them. You can see them feeling like probably they cannot do it. You ask them a question, no, I cannot do it, still lazima nifanye. Or they tell you that I know dad will not accept it. So they can't even express themselves out. So that's one thing. So they become either defiant through anger or they feel intimidated. Or the same kids will come up in terms of they become so much beautiful, or they try to dress up so beautiful. So either they're girls, they try to make sure that they create an attention either at home. And you see, those attentions are not just done to you at home. So you'll see them behaving in a different way. Yeah, they dress up so attractive because they're looking for visibility. They're looking for approval. They're looking for formation. Yeah. Or it is a gentleman, they become so much charming and because they're yearning for approval. Or probably some of them become manipulative at home. And that becomes in terms of controlling. Yeah. They become so controlling at home. They become, look at them with their kids. They want to take care of everything. Don't do this, do this. They want to take care of, become so much in charge at home, not for the good, but in terms of manipulating the younger, or even the manipulators are parent. They tell you, if I do this, dad will do it for me. So they tell you, if I pass exams, you'll buy this for me. So the question is, they're not earning it out of unconditional, but they're creating a manipulative place of it whereby you must do it so that you can get the attention. And some of them, I call them enshred, enshred girls, boys. So they give up and surrender very quickly. So there are people who just give up in life and they don't want to do anything. They're just lazy and looking bored and looking not participating in anything. And so that's what happens. So they'll come up with those few areas of information. They will show rebelliousness, they'll show manipulative, they'll show being so good, or they become rebellious, they become manipulative, or some of them dress up, get some attention. And once that happens, the question is, do you engage with the children intentionally? Yeah. Are you available or present? Most times, are you more focused on giving them your presence? Like, let's say you're present in the house, but not giving them that, I call them presence and also proximity. Yeah, that's what they're looking for. Because you can be present in the house, but not very close to them. There's no proximity. So they can see you, dad sitting on this chair, mom sitting on this chair. Like that cup I saying in the kitchen that is not to use. It's just there, present, but not used. There's no connection. That's what we call proximity. Yeah. What are you doing, in fact, in terms of allowing them to trust you? Yeah. So are you really busy in terms of expectations or busy in terms of memories with them? Yeah, so that's what I can just say. The expression comes in different ways, but we must ask ourselves that if they don't do it on the street, they'll be able to do it in the house. They just become defiant. They just become negative. They just become rude. They just become unwelcoming. They just become manipulative. They just become so good. They just become so negative in life. Because you see, if I'm not in your life, I'll not be able to see a difference in you. So if I'm not close to you, even if there's something that is coming out, a deviation from the normal, that's the challenge that you're having. And I'm urging parents, that we must always not just be present, but be extremely in close contact with our teenagers. That will help us be able to notice if there's something that is not doing on well, working on well, or they're going through any emotional or mental challenge.